Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning to you. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I've created a lot of videos, but I haven't published any of them because I published a video and I was off by 2 years on the start of the Civil War. And the way that you do one thing is the way that you do everything. So I had to unlist the video because I said that the Civil War started in 1863, and actually it started in 1861 to 1865. So I was off by 2 years, and I don't like being wrong. And sometimes I am wrong because I'm human. Haven't posted a lot. You know, I've been wanting to do some videos with my brothers down south. I've done a lot of other videos. Been busy with the holidays. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Christmas. Like I was saying, I don't know if it's in this take or the take just before this, but I was watching Ed Calderon's Christmas video, and it got me to thinking. You know, I recently re-upped my life insurance policy because I'm getting older, you know, and I work out. And I've learned a lot of stuff this last year. In fact, it's almost exactly 1 year of doing these videos. I was watching Ed's end of the year video telling all of you Merry Christmas from my home to yours. And I echo those sentiments. I'm grateful for everything that's gone on this last year as far as having had the opportunity to find out what's going on with Ed, which is why I launched this channel. He was, in fact, a state trooper or agent in Mexico, Baja California. I've had the opportunity to go on Camp Gagnon, which is filmed right here, just behind where this camera's at. Got to meet his whole crew. Got to film with them again in Brooklyn with something that should be dropping this January. I've gotten the opportunity to learn a lot about myself introspectively, which is weird too, because I spend a lot of time alone. Like right behind me, you're going to see on my whiteboard. Previously, it had Ed's whole timeline written down up there, you know, but I finally got to the bottom of that one. Right now, having to do with Christmas, I'm going down 40,000 BC, the Neanderthal extinction, 20,000 BC to 15,000 BC, the first wave of American migration. And really, we could put a thing in there, the Solutrean hypothesis, but we're going to leave that one alone for right now for political correctness issues. 10,000 BC, the agricultural revolution, where all of our ancestors had the chance to become sedentary creatures, sitting in one spot and learning how to read and write. That's where your language systems developed. I learned a lot of this in law school. 5,300 BC, you have the Romania first writing system, which a lot of people don't talk about. You always hear about cuneiform, you don't hear a lot about Romania, but Romania beat the Sumerians by about 2,000 years. Sumeria, you got cuneiform writing system, and from there you got the Code of Ur-Nammu, the Code of Lipa-Ishtar, and the Code of Hammurabi, which are our first legal codes. Then you've got, and then if you want to go into the Americans and their first legal codes, because of the lack of writing system, you have what is basically termed the Great Law, but that came centuries later. I think about 1080. I'll have to look it up. Don't hold me to it. I'm going somewhere with all of this. 1200 BC, the Old Testament is starting to be written. About 1200 to 500 BC, Old Testament. 6 BC to 4 BC, you've got the birth of Christ, right? Then you've got Christ crucified. I should have put it up there. It's not up there. But Christ was crucified between 30 and 34 AD. I should put that up there. It's not up there right now for those of you that are paying attention. 50 to 100 AD, you have the New Testament being written. And we can get into some of the things that are going on with that about why they don't know the exact date of Christ's birth, even though the Jewish calendar goes back 5,000 years. To about 3,000 BC. Then you've got the canonization of the Bible by the Roman emperor and the bishops between 325 and 397. There's HIPAA and what is it? It starts with the C. It's escaping. It's on the tip of my tongue right now. Carthaginian or whatever. And then you've got the 300 to 500 AD Ethiopian Bible being compiled also, which has something like 81 books. Why are you talking about all that, Dave? Because I'm talking about Christmas, right? The birth of Christ, which is my Savior. Understanding to a deeper level the religion that I adhere to, the birth of my Lord, everything that's gone on in the history of this earth that we can understand from a human standpoint. And I could even include some of this, the migration out of Africa, how Australia was populated, Pangea, and all that. You know what, I'm going to redo this with the movement of Pangea and the supercontinent. There are a lot of things that we don't understand, but getting back into what I've learned about myself this last year, I've had the opportunity to learn a lot, to meet a lot of people. Camp Gagnon, Johnny Mitchell, Camp Gagnon again, Ian Bick, Hector Bravo, all these major podcasters. Valhalla VFT right down at the Department of Homeland Security. I've had the chance to learn a lot this last year, and I've also just more than digging into Ed's past and more than telling you guys happy or Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, which is going to be here in 2 days. I've got to learn a lot about myself, the way that I come across, trolls that have hated on me, lots of comments that are positive and supportive too, and I appreciate every one of you. The lack of trying to monetize my channel, I've got something like 578 subscribers or something like that, and I appreciate you guys. But I'm not going to ask you to like or subscribe, because really the reason why I came up with this channel to begin with is that when we watch something on YouTube, I want us to know that we're being told the truth. We're marching more and more and more into a totalitarian society by a government that routinely and repeatedly screws up and then rewards itself by taking away more and more of our freedoms, Democrat, Libertarian, or Republican. I'm not against any of you guys. You guys are just another living, breathing human being just like I am. And I don't like our country being taken over by a foreign government, whether it's China, Israel, Brazil. It doesn't matter who it is. If our politicians are bought and paid for, politicians that you never chose to have govern you, by the way, then, there's probably something that we should look at there. I've routinely been an adherent to Lysander Spooner, but even this last year I've had to challenge some of my own political beliefs because, I'm a libertarian, and if I'm a libertarian, I think that freedom is the greatest way to go, and I usually think that's the case. I do not think that large corporations or groups of people acting in concert with each other should be able to do things like buy up all the free air, or buy up all the free water supply, or sell off all of our public lands, or even charge admission to them. There are a lot of things out there, and I think that if you're going to have a document like the Constitution and you're going to swear an oath to it, you ought to live up to it, which means that people get the benefit of the presumption of innocence, the right to challenge your accuser in court, whether they're American or not, because these are our principles. I've learned a lot about the stuff that we see on YouTube about how people also have behind-the-scenes relationships with each other. Ian Bick knows JD DeLay, knows Johnny Mitchell, or whatever, the whole gamut of people that know each other and work together. And that's to be expected to a certain extent, because there are, let me check to make sure that this thing's still recording. One sec, because this video is coming out okay. That's to be expected to a certain extent, because people do know each other and work together professionally. Of course they do. And JD DeLay and Valhalla VFT have been right here doing videos together. And then there are other things that have come about, in the course of my going down the list of Soft White Underbelly, Sean Ryan, Joe Rogan, all the people that I've tried to reach out to and come into contact with to express my story about what I saw and experienced as an agent for Mexico working in the Mexican drug war. the lack of interest by a lot of major podcasters, and that was surprising to me. So, I started looking into things and seeing how they film things, what they film them on. They're basically using Shure microphones with a Sony A7 II or triple I camera, which is about $2,000, and running it through software. You get to see all these different guys' setups, or some of them even go and rent a professional studio, which is also a good way to go, but you lose the lack of personal touch. And I see the way that these people edit and shoot their podcasts, and they're successful major podcasters. This year I've been interviewed by 2 people that have interviewed President Trump. That doesn't mean like I'm somebody special. I'm not. I'm not any more special than anybody viewing this video, because you, just like me, were born here on this earth by our Creator, and you're just as important as I am. The only difference between us is we all have, or you as opposed to myself, or me as opposed to any one of you, is that we all have unique perspectives based on the lives that we live, which is why I've got on here basically talking about the Mexican drug war and wanting to find out if other voices that are talking to our politicians were in fact genuine. Having said that, there's a lot of things that I've seen that go on a lot. For example, the whole vet bro community, and I'm a fan of a lot of them. Valhalla VFT, Green Beret Chronicles, Jameson Travels, Sean Ryan, I love his stuff. Even Joe Rogan, when he's having people on there, Lex Fridman and other people that talk to Mike Ritland, Shots Fired podcast, the law enforcement community. I watch all these people talk about a Mexican drug war that they have zero experience in. What do you mean, Dave? I'm not being disrespectful by saying that. Of course, both sides, the Special Forces community and those of us that have fought in the Mexican drug war, carry weapons, but they're 2 unique and distinct things that should be treated as such and should be talked about by people that know about it. Gafe 423, presumably, Ed Calderon, myself, or others that are down in Mexico right now. The price tag that we pay participating in the drug war is a lot different than the price tag the Special Forces community pays when they go out and they serve in a war zone that's far removed from wherever it is they live. That's not the case in Mexico. Also, it's not the case that when you're down in Mexico, you can't always depend on backup coming in. And so when these Special Forces communities are making videos about what goes on in Mexico, first of all, they're far removed from it. Second of all, it is not the same, and it would be as absurd as if I myself was going to make a video on what it's like Vincent Vargas to become an Army Ranger. I know nothing about it any more than Vincent Vargas knows about anything that goes on south of the border, in conjunction with his Canadian reporter, Katerina Schultz, of whom I think is pretty professional, both of them. However, I don't think that they have the goods and that they don't validate what they put out there, and I think that this is important because we live in a world where currently you'll have people blowing up fishing vessels or boats, craft, whatever, off the coast of Venezuela, trying to push us into a war with Venezuela. Why? They don't have any fentanyl coming from there, but they have large oil reserves. Could that be the prize? I don't really mind what people's opinions are, even black racist people that don't like me because I'm white, or my trolls that hate on me even though I post video proof of what I've done. I don't mind them having their opinions, but I do think that you should be honest and consistent, and that if you say that you believe in the Constitution, that you ought to give those people that are aboard those vessels in Venezuela the benefit of confronting their accusers in court, in a court of law that you say that we should adhere to, before you kill them, before you execute, summary execution. That is not the rule of law. Also, I think that when people are putting out videos on YouTube trying to influence, or about that influencer, I'm going to stick with the point and then I'm going to go to the influencer thing. I think that they ought to substantiate and corroborate and prove that they're talking with who they say they're talking with, not just have someone putting on a ski mask pretending to be from some major cartel that's going to cause tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people to vote and think a certain way. It's one of the main reasons why I do these videos, and one of the main reasons why I don't try to go down and chase down a Patreon account and try to enrich myself off of your guys' $5 a month, which is better suited in your children's mouths anyway. right? I respect you as a human being. I respect your perspectives. I respect your life experiences and what you've learned throughout the course of your life. And this is what I've learned throughout the course of mine. I see people online all the time talk about things, and I know that it just doesn't sound right, or I flat out know that they're lying straight up. And you have to be careful, because you have to navigate things knowing that there are going to be people with more money than you that have money for lawyers that are going to come after you, trying to shut you up because you're destroying their narrative. So I have to be careful about what I say, and if I do say something, I have to have some type of proof online where they've already come out and screwed themselves up. You know, it is doubtful, extremely doubtful, or alleged, you know, these are the type of words that you have to use, that several multinational criminal groups would sit there and give unprecedented access to reporters when they routinely kill them in Mexico. And that would put at risk their transnational criminal organizations and operations, just so somebody with a tight-fitting t-shirt and tight jeans can give you some type of unprecedented scoop. I don't buy it. Maybe you shouldn't either, you know. Or have storied, experienced Mexican journalists that are attached to major Mexican news agencies in Mexico talk about something that they live with every single day and not have a tourist reporting on it. You know, and as far as tourists go, when I got to Mexico, I was a tourist, and then I got a job there working for the Mexican government, and I was no longer a tourist. There's a big difference. So, hey, this last year I've learned a lot, and I'm grateful for all of your comments, positive and negative. You know, those of us that are not willing to face criticism probably are not very mature and need to have a deeper look at ourselves. You know, there are a lot of things that I don't do correctly. I don't have the perfect grill. I don't come at you in some type of suit and tie dressed up. I do worry about the welfare, the bienestar of this country and Mexico, and all of us as a continent, as citizens that populate this continent collectively. I've known a lot of great people in each one of these countries, Mexico, Canada, or the United States. I want to button it up with this. I hope that every single one of you guys has a fantastic new year, and that every single one of your hopes and dreams is realized. I was talking about the life insurance thing. You know, I wasn't feeling the best, and you know, I went down and re-upped my life insurance policy, so my wife is taken care of. And one of the things that I've realized this year is that what I did in Mexico, that's only a portion of my existence. There's also a portion of it that was spent in Russia, a portion that was spent in the Bering Sea, the portion of it that was spent going to law school in Mexico and learning everything I did there, and the portion of it now where I'm chasing down a degree in computer science and trying to get a law degree in this country to help people now. I also realized when I was re-upping my life insurance policy that I'm not going to be here forever. In 150 years, none of us will even be a memory unless we cure cancer or something like that. That's the way it is. And as such, it makes it easy to understand what my purpose is, or what your purpose is. Our purpose is to be accountable to the people that count on us, that we choose to have count on us, to be true to ourselves, and try to do the right thing and live a morally correct life, which I do my best to do. It's also to make sure that I take care of my wife, and that she is absolutely my purpose. And I know that you guys all got purposes too. That being said, we do live together, and we should strive to understand the world around us in a manner that is educated, informed, and morally correct to our own belief system. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm just asking you to make sure that there's cohesion between your actions and your belief code, or your belief system, whatever that is. You know, I don't think that killing Gazan babies in their cribs at night is a correct approach to life. I don't need to even say I don't think that. I know it's not. It doesn't matter what religion that baby's parents are. They never had anything to do with anything, and they're being blown up in their cribs at night. You know, I've lost a lot of friends over that this last year. And I've never been a liberal. I've never voted for a Democrat in my life except for in Louisiana, when I had to vote for judges, and I would always pick the more conservative of the two. I do believe in being accountable for your actions, everybody, whether you work for the government or whether you're flipping flipping burgers at the local burger stand. No matter who you are, you should be accountable. I sit here and I watch this country have politicians on both sides of the aisle. And people that are in charge, oh, you know what, I need to own that too. I misspoke about Kash Patel dating Marissa Strite. He is connected to her, but I had that a little bit wrong. I'm not going to get everything correct all the time. But the politicians, no, there's no buts, because everything after but is bullshit, right? The politicians that pretend to lead us should live morally correct lives too, and should be accountable for their actions. And if they're down there diddling children, the same as P. Diddy might have been doing, then they should see the inside of a courtroom, no matter who they are. And I would think that if even convicted felons, people that society shuns and loathes and ostracizes, can get the child molesting part correct and vehemently hate that and shun it, then how much more so society as a whole, or the people that pretend to lead us? And it's being blocked. Everything from the JFK assassination, they said they were going to declassify that. They have not done that. And we all know what's going on with all of this. Where there's not transparency, there's something to hide. There was a guy I knew one time in North Hollywood by the name of Rollo. And Rollo was kind of a mentor to me. And he told me one time when I was newly sober, never sleep with somebody that you wouldn't be seen having lunch with, right? Sounds kind of mundane, a little crass, a little trashy. But there's a lot of truth in that too. We shouldn't do things that we're not okay with having society see as a whole. We should act in a way that we're not having a problem having it put out there, you know. And I don't want to get too hung up on this point, but the bottom line is nobody should ever be covering up and redacting files where people are down hurting children on an island, and especially when they're hurting them sexually. I hope that YouTube doesn't strike that because of that word, but this isn't something that anybody that had anything involved with that should be in public office. They should be in a prison cell, and we all know it. So that's kind of what's going on with my channel. I got a couple videos that should be dropping in January. Ed and Eddie, I got you guys your gift. It was delivered. They sent me it back because of the holiday, because there was no one there to receive it. Hope you guys get it. It's not a big thing. It's just a little thing. You guys can shoot each other with them. Kind of fun. They're toys, though. Plastic toys. They're kind of like Lego pistols, but they shoot real projectiles, so it's kind of cool. You can blind each other with them, so be careful. Use them at your own risk, right? I'm grateful to have had this opportunity to have met all these major podcasters and to have been on their shows. I'm grateful for the opportunity each one of them has given me. Sean, Joe, and the rest of you guys, if I've offended you, I apologize. I should not do that. And at the same time, each one of you guys has blown me off. So don't take it personally if I say something about it. It's nothing personal. It's just I need to be truthful to my audience and be like, hey, I've got something to say, an inside scoop on all of this stuff that's going on south of the border. And none of them have been interested in it at all. And maybe you ought to ask them why. I don't know. I'm done asking them. I think I'm probably blocked off of all of their channels, but whatever. From my house to your house, Merry Christmas. Have a Happy New Year. And I hope that all of us reach all of our goals. Cheers, man. Bye.